Today's video is going to be similar to the video that I did for the other Grizzly in some respects. Okay, the other Grizzly has a yellow Craftsman toolbox on it. I bought these at auctions or something. And I had a car battery in here years ago. This machine is a 99, the other one is a 98. So they're 25 plus years old. And this looks like a rat's nest in here. It's not as clean as the other machine, but I didn't want to retrofit the entire setup. I had this Stanley jump pack here in the back of the toolbox. And it was a good idea, I think, originally, to have the jump pack. And I've got a set of jumper cables here that I made up for this with the quick connects that plug in there to make this a little longer, the cord's a little longer, and also to plug into this harness here so I can use it on the four-wheeler. But then when I'm not using the four-wheeler, I can take it out, take the battery pack out, and take it in the house or the shed or the cabin or whatever, and make sure that the battery's charged up all the way and keep it warmer. Okay. Then I came up with this 33 amp hour battery that I was going to use for solar. It's a sealed battery, 12 volt, 33 amp hour. It says 10 hour on it. It's a EXP33 Expert Power from Amazon. It's like 75, 80 bucks for that battery. What's great about it is it fits almost perfectly. This size fits almost perfectly from side to side. I just stuck a couple pieces of wood down in there to keep it from flopping around side to side. And you can barely see it, but there's a rubber mat there that I cut pieces and laid it down in the bottom to help with the vibration of the battery. And it's not on metal. Okay. What I really like about this now, of course you saw me open it, but that I can shut the toolbox up. And in case of an overturn, I've probably got bigger problems, but I got these little booties on here so that it should protect it from the battery from arcing against the lid of the toolbox. Negative, I'm not so worried about because I've actually got the battery grounded to the frame here on the rack, and that was on advice from another YouTube video that I saw where the guy put an extra, he had a little scooter, I don't know, like 250cc or something. He put a extra heavy duty ground wire, that's either 6 gauge or 8 gauge copper braided, down to the frame so that in the event that the stator started going out, it didn't try to ground the stator to the frame. Maybe the stator's already grounded to the frame, I don't know, but I thought it was a good idea. I don't think it can hurt anything to have the battery grounded to the frame rather than just using the battery by itself as the ground. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, you can let me know. I only put one side on this quick connect, negative to negative. Normally when you use one of these quick connects, you got a negative and a positive, and it holds together a little bit tighter. You see there's a little gap there. I don't think that hurts anything. But this is a mess. I think this is the first one that I did. And I put these battery shutoff keys, whatever you want to call them, are from Harbor Freight, I think. So what this does, when I hook this harness together, this battery will power up, goes through the battery shutoff. So I've got a lot of safeties on some parts of this machine. I'll get to another part here in a minute that, or so, that is not according to spec. And I'll explain why I did what I did. And anything that I've done in this video, do at your own risk. Don't try this at home, kids, unless you know what you're doing. Even if you do know what you're doing, still be careful. Do it at your own risk. Anyway, so when the harness is hooked in, then it powers up this switch, which goes down through here, underneath the seat, and then that powers the majority of the electronics on the four-wheeler. Okay, so we'll turn that key off. And then we'll go over to here. You see that switch? I've got a jumper that runs right in behind this battery. See that? And it powers up the winch and the heated grips. These are aftermarket heated grips for, you know, making your hands warm. And then here's the little switch right there. Turn them on. All right. I think it's a starter solenoid, and I have a brand new starter solenoid. I didn't want to tear into it. That's it right there. I was trying to prioritize, and me and my buddy a couple of years ago were having issues with this thing not wanting to crank. And so we ran these green wires, see the green wires, up through the frame and installed this momentary starter button on here to make the four-wheeler turn over, but it still turns over slow. So the other night, and I actually reference Liza's winch video, I think is how I'm going to post it. I haven't posted it yet, but I will. And I had a jump pack with me, and I was like, what the heck are we going to do? And we used the jump pack on the little winch, which is on a different video, and winched this up on the trailer because I had no battery for it. And I've got the special ends on it on purpose for safety reasons on the other jump pack. The other jump pack, the one that I used on the winch, just has the jumper cable ends on it, the alligator clips. I don't know if you can see that in there. Yeah, back in there. See that red line that runs back there? What I did is I put an extra heavy cable onto the starter. And let me zoom back out. And ran it up here. Hopefully it won't catch on anything. Ran that up here through this handy dandy hole underneath the rack. And then I put another ground wire to the rack here. And normally I like to put the bolts facing down, but it's so tight in there, I was afraid this nut, I wouldn't be able to get a socket or a wrench on it. So anyway, it's face up. The head's underneath there with a lock washer because I can't get a flat washer on it. I drilled that out a little bit to get some fresh meat for the bolt to make contact with for the ground. And put this flat washer on top and then put a nylon nut on there. If that nylon nut comes loose or gets so hot, which I doubt, that it melts the nylon out, we'll do something different. But anyway, what I did is I hooked up this, and it's marked starter only. That'll lay right down here. So if any moisture gets in there, it should run down that plug. It'll stay right there. It's not in the way. It's under the rack. And I can take this battery pack, hook it right into the harness, and then all I do is switch this from off to on, and it starts cranking the machine immediately. So theoretically, I'll have this battery in there already to provide juice to the rest of the machine, and just have the key turned on and crank it with the jump pack, and it starts right up. It did yesterday anyway. I'm not going to do it today though. Here's the remote. This is a Harbor Freight aftermarket wireless winch controller. It's okay for pushing snow. I have like a mitt that goes over this that's loose so I don't catch it on the throttle or the brakes or whatever. Because the hand gets cold, even with the grips on for pushing snow, it can still get cold. So I'm using my right hand to run the throttle and steer, and then my left hand to run the winch control for the snowplow, which I'll probably do another video later on the snowplow. The snowplow's like 42 inches wide, and I'd rather have another 6 inches on each side. I'll probably put wings on it to kind of scoop it. I'll just use the blade straight rather than angling it left and right, which it can do, but I'll probably I want to put wings on it, and then that way it gathers the snow towards the middle from both sides and just push straight. Okay, so anyway, other than the obvious of the starter solenoid either not working or some other problem, I went ahead and wired this in and it worked great. You just got to respect it. But it's an old machine, and they're super cold-blooded. I've mentioned that in other videos. These machines, these old Grizzlies that are carbureted, are super cold-blooded. You got to let them run for a while and let them warm up. There's like a dead spot in the carburetors. You got to give it a little bit of throttle sometimes to get them to idle right, to catch. But once everything warms up, they'll just sit there. As long as the stator's good, they'll just sit there and purr forever once you get them warmed up. But getting them warmed up is kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. So anyway, that's what I did on this machine. I put these quick attach for the ground wire and quick attach for the batteries. It'll stay hooked up to the battery all the time, but it's protected unless somebody sticks something down in there. And I've got caps, which I share right here. When I take the battery out, I'll just put this cap on, this plug, if you will. And then now that will protect the contacts inside here. So it's pretty safe. I'm not guaranteeing that I can't, if anybody could do it, it'd be me, to make it so it would arc or something, but I try to be safe about it. And of course, this one here has a cap on it as well, a little zip tie on there. So again, do at your own risk, but this machine's gonna stay here at the house. I'm gonna use it to pull trailers around the yard with and push snow. And then the other machine will stay out at the farm for pulling trailers out there and dragging deer and whatever, okay? So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. These are for the winch. This is just an old set of jumper cables that I cut up. That's what I had at the time. I mean, again, this was years ago. And I've tried to use a little bit better quality stuff here. This is number six copper braided on these harnesses that I bought off Amazon. I'm glad I bought that stuff years ago because, God, the wire's getting expensive bad. It's like double almost what it used to be. And the ball that I have on here, I guess I'll show you that, doesn't use this wrench. This has got the two most popular sizes for trailer ball. This one, I think I've actually got it backwards. I think the snowplow uses 1 7/8", which is up here on top, and there's a 2-inch ball on the bottom. So I may have to flip that over. But in my video that I hope to make for the snowplow, I turned this ball upside down and put a hitch upside down, and I used that as the pushing surface or the mounting surface to push the snowplow. You see a lot of brackets that go up on the frame and it pushes in the middle of the frame. Well, that's fine, you can do that, but it's a pain in the ass to get up underneath there. This thing, man, I basically just drive over the snowplow until the hitch lines up with the ball. Then I put a block of wood underneath there if I need to. I lift that up, just clip it on, put a pin through it, and then that pivot point holds, the trailer ball holds, and the hitch holds the snowplow on there. And then I have up front, I don't have them on right now, but I've got pins. I had to cut some of this out, but I've got pins here with bars that have slots in them that slide up and down. And basically it just guides the plow on the front of the four-wheeler and allows it to move up and down. And also I put a little slop in there for left and right. I took a lot of the wire off the winch because essentially I only use this winch for the snowplow. I think I cut about half the wire off. I don't care if it's spaghetti's on there like you see this. It's not that big a deal. That winch is not heavy. It just needs to go up and down, and that's it. And occasionally I use it to winch something around here, but very rarely. And this is a 2,500 pound Harbor Freight Special. And there's the wireless box for it. But it seems to work great. Last time I used it, and I tested it the other day, and it worked fine. I got the cable stopper on here, and I've also got this pulley block on here, which is rated for like 4,000 pounds, which is plenty much. And then this just goes down into a clevis that I have down on the snowplow. And by having that hooked up that way, down and then back up, it cuts the speed in half, so I can make more adjustments. It doesn't pull as hard. Not that that's an issue anyway. I am interested to see if I would put a lot of weight on the front, if this cable would rub on this brake line here, the brake line there. But I don't think it's going to. I think it'll give before it'll rub too bad. And I just zip tied it up there to hold it secure. Another thing on this machine compared to the 98, this is the 99. On the 99, the oil cooler is down here with the fan behind it. And on the 99, they moved it up higher. On the 98, when I was working on the fan, I had to take this whole skid plate off and the winch plate off just to get at the fan to get it out, to make sure that the fan worked, which it did, and rewired that whole thing onto a switch. And this has got the switch on here. I put this Trick protected racing switch on there. And I mentioned on one of my other videos, the reason they say the stator goes out is you put too big of a load on them or get them hot, or both, which I'm sure I've done. I put 2 stators on this machine so far and 3 stators on the other one. But that's been 25 years, so I'm averaging, about 8 years on the stator. We'll see. That's originally one of the reasons I put a bigger battery. I was using car batteries. It didn't seem to make any difference the way I had it done, but I didn't have this extra ground wire on either. I had a full-size car battery in here that I was running the 4-wheeler with. But I think this 33 amp hour battery, well, it'll be better than running off the jump pack. The jump pack, depending on what brand you buy, this size is an 18 or 19 amp hour battery. And this one's 33, so it's not quite double, but it's bigger. So anyway, there you have it. As I do more videos, I'll post them. But I really like that, having the toolbox locked up. Also, before I had the lid flipped up, so it's harder to see behind. So it was sticking up about this high. Well, now it's down here, so I can see behind me a little bit. Also, I've made up a slow-moving vehicle sign that I'll put on here at some point to put on the back, and it's out enough where you can get the latches open and open the toolbox. I have it, I just can't remember where I put it. I'd taken it off while I was working on this stuff a couple of years ago. So if I have to build a new one or buy a new one, I will, but I have one somewhere. All right, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.